Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to be covering a couple underrated off-season, happenings. Stuff that's going around in the league. Um, just some under-the-radar things that could happen. This is gonna be a little shorter video, just to get some stuff covered. Storyline number one I'm watching is Oklahoma City's unreached potential. So, they're coming off a 57-25 season, which was first in the conference, but I feel like the sky is the limit for this team, and I think everyone agrees with that. But I don't think we really realize how good this team really is. You know, Shea emerged this year as an MVP candidate, Jalen Williams as a clear second option, and Chet had another incredible, so many incredible showings, just all these guys. And they're all young guys, all on their rookie contracts, except Shea, obviously. And they got a coach of the year in Mark Daignault, but just a lot of potential around. However, they got an overbearing issue, and that is their lack of rebounding. They finished 27th in rebounding, and the teams that finished worse than them were Indiana, Washington, and Charlotte. Now, obviously, Indiana made the Eastern Conference Finals, but, they faced a lot of banged-up teams on the way there, and they lost pretty handily when they got there. And, Washington and Charlotte are not very good teams. So, not a good company, not a team, not an area you want to be in. However, the Thunder can directly address this need, and they have the assets to do it. They have the funds to do it. They have plenty of cap space. They're estimated at $33.7 million, and they can just completely wipe away this issue. Now, potential signings, you got guys like Valanciunas and Hartenstein on the market, but if I was them, maybe I would get one of those. However, I'm opting for Andre Drummond here. Stellar rebounder. Over his career, he's averaged 12.4 a game. And I think he could be really good on the bench unit. He averaged 9 a game last season, mostly coming off the bench. So he's still got it. He's been in the league. He provides a veteran presence. Maybe a scenario where OKC signs Hartenstein to big money, and then they get him. Or maybe they sign Kevin Love to join their starting lineup as a power forward, should he opt out of his contract with Miami, and then get Drummond off the bench. Draft and trade potential. They really have a plentiful supply of assets, and that can't be understated. They have the 12th pick this year, and then in the next draft, they have Philadelphia's pick, which is protected 1 through 6. They have Miami's pick, which is lottery protected. Utah's pick is 1 through 10 protected, and then they also have a swap with Houston and Los Angeles, as well as 3 second-round picks. Now, they have guys to pay next season, so they might keep some of those picks. However, we know this draft is loaded, and maybe they'll trade up and get a guy. I don't know. Who knows? But they do have the assets, and teams are going to want those assets based on how deep this 25 draft class is. It can be really beneficial, and they're in a good scenario. And then 26, they have their own first and 3 seconds. They have way more assets down the line as well. Like I said, it can't be understated. What also cannot be understated is how many other guys are really on rookie deals. The Williams brothers, Holmgren, Cason Wallace is a really sneaky guy I like this year, and then Ousmane Dieng. Recently acquired, they recently got Caruso, 2-time All-Defense for him, and he's also a champion, which I think is really good to have on this roster. Average 1.7 steals, a whole block a game. They got rid of Josh Giddey. Giddey, was a starter last season, but got really shaky towards the end. He did not start their final 2 games of the season against the Mavericks. He averaged 9 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists in the playoffs. He saw his minutes decline. 2 seasons ago, he averaged 17, 8, and 6, and I was like, okay, we got something with this guy. He played 31 minutes a game, but this number declined to 25 last season, and he only averaged 12, 6, and 4. So, Caruso hopefully fits the role better. Obviously, Giddey provides a little bit more playmaking and rebounding than Caruso, but I feel like Caruso, if they add another piece, this is a really interesting addition. And, the bench, too. He's going to be formidable if they decide to bring him off the bench, but they could start him. Off the bench, they also have Isaiah Joe. They have Cason Wallace, who I mentioned. They're going to have teams in a straitjacket all year. They got Aaron Wiggins, Ousmane Dieng, and the most valuable asset of them all, which is cap space. Storyline number 2, you see my boy Emo Jimmy here. Miami is on the brink, and not on the brink in a good way. See what I did there on the brink? Because, Cameron Brink and Jimmy Butler. Anyway, public relations have been faltering between Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler, and it's regarding Butler's unavailability. Now, We know Butler is one of the best players in the world when he's healthy and when he really wants it, but there's questions about how much he really wants it. Obviously, we see him in the playoffs, he really wants it, but he's been taking the regular season off. He's missed over 60 games in the past 3 seasons, and he missed all of the playoffs this season, and then went on to say that he would perhaps win the East had he been healthy. And call it confidence, call it what you want, but Pat Riley was not a big fan. He also has an extension looming in the coming months. Main issues for Miami is roster moves. They have a ton of free agents to retain and not a lot of money to do it with. They got to retain Haywood Highsmith. They also have to retain Caleb Martin, DeLon Wright, and Patty Mills. Now, obviously, some of these guys are more valuable than others. Martin has already opted out of his player option, so I consider it unlikely for him to return. There's other guys, too, that can opt out of their player options, and that list includes Kevin Love, Thomas Bryant, and Josh Richardson. Again, these are pieces you really can't afford to be losing, and I think they're going to lose them. I think Miami is in a really bad place here. The only two really expendable contracts they have are Rozier at $27 million and Duncan Robinson at $19.4, but they just traded a first-round pick for Rozier, so just not a very favorable position for this team. This is if Riley stands pat, another pun. They're losing a lot of pieces, and this is what their depth chart looked like last season. As you can see, they're losing like their entire point guard rotation, as well as some other scattered guys around the board. Haywood Highsmith and Caleb Martin were pretty available last season. Highsmith averaged 20.7 minutes a game, and Martin averaged 27.4. And then the two guards, Wright and Mills, were obviously picked up separately, but they both averaged over 16 minutes a game. So these are guys that are playing games with Miami, and they're not going to return should Miami not bring them back. They're losing a lot of depth here, and I think it could be interesting to see how this affects the team. This is a team, as long as I've been active, they've always been in contention based on, that's just their philosophy. The Heat culture. They got Eric Spoelstra. I think it's impossible to really tank with Spoelstra, but Miami might be in a position where they have to start making difficult decisions. So I don't know. We'll see with them. That's my second offseason storyline. And our third one here, our final one, is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's decision. He is a really interesting figure in this year's draft, or this year's offseason, due to the fact that he has a player option with the Nuggets. We know the Nuggets won the championship last season and then lost in the second round this season. But they're over the cap, and I'm really stuttering here. Caldwell-Pope's deal can be brought back, but he has to accept it first. And I think he probably wants more years, security. He's getting up there in age. But guys that are under contract for Denver: Jokic, Murray, Porter Jr., Gordon, and then they got Zeke Naji, Reggie Jackson, Christian Braun, Julian Strawther, Peyton Watson, and Jalen Pickett and Hunter Tyson. If KCP opts out, there is a lot of teams with cap space. We got 6 teams here that automatically have cap space off rip, and that would be the Pistons, who he was drafted by, a little homecoming. I don't think that's going to happen. 76ers, we'll talk about them next. But the Magic, okay, Magic needs scoring. KCP can do that. He can hit threes, and he defends really well. Same thing, Jazz. Don't think they'll add him. They're young. Thunder, sleeper team here. Might they add, Drummond and him? Maybe. And then Spurs as well. I don't think they're going to really angle to get KCP with that cap space. But the implications here are within Caldwell-Pope choosing Philly. This is really interesting because, you're going between superstar center. And the thing is, I actually feel like KCP might leave. They can offer him more money should he opt out. And, this is going to be a huge detriment. The Sixers can afford to be without him. They can bring back Oubre or Buddy Hield. But I really don't think Denver can afford to lose him. That would be a critical blow to their team. And, Sixers might view KCP as the missing piece to getting Embiid a title, just another guy, and then they'll add a guy on a max contract. So, really just an interesting plot point here. Should he leave? He already has 2 rings in the past 5 years, so does he really need another one? Maybe he'll take the money. And the generational wealth that comes with being a free agent in the NBA. But that is all I have. These are my 3 underrated off-season storylines, and Be sure to stay active on our feed. We're coming in quick, and cheers to everyone. We'll see you next time.